Okay, today we're going to be working on identifying perpendicular lines and perpendicular line segments. So last week, or one of the last couple lessons that we went over, was we were learning about parallel lines. And I want to remind you, parallel lines are lines or line segments that'll never touch. Okay, if I continued to draw either other line of these lines, at no point would they touch. I could draw my parallel lines at any angle in any direction, and if they're parallel, they would still never touch. But any line segments that are not parallel are called intersecting lines. Okay, so those could look like this. That would be an intersecting line segment. I'm going to make my arrows saying that these are lines, not lines, segments, because they're going to continue on. Okay, but they've already intersected right here. I could also look at line segments like this and know that those will become intersecting line segments or intersecting lines, because I know if I keep drawing this line, it's going to intersect with this line. So that would also be an intersecting line. So these, one type of intersecting line that I want to talk to you about today is perpendicular lines. So perpendicular lines are intersecting lines that make what we call a right angle. Now, the best way that I like to describe a perpendicular line, perpendicular intersection, is that you could fit a box in the corner. That's what a right angle looks like. So, if I were to make my lines like this, I could get a box, a square. Let's see, I'll use a notepad here. Okay. And that is going to fit in that corner. So these are perpendicular line segments. Okay. So I have perpendicular lines, or well, I'll make these line segments. So remember, if there's a dot at the end and it says that that's the extent of that line, then it's a line segment. Okay. I could also have a perpendicular line segment like this. It's still going to be that 90-degree angle. Okay, I can still fit a box in there. So these are perpendicular lines. Even if they don't go directly through, it's still a perpendicular line. Once again, 90 degrees at this angle where they intersect. So those are our perpendicular line segments. They're going to make that perfect corner, that perfect box or square corner at the corner where the two lines meet, or what we say intersect. How I show a 90-degree angle is I actually draw a little box in there. Okay, because that shows, oh, it's a perfect 90 degrees. Okay, so now I want us to take this information about what we know about perpendicular lines, and we're going to apply it to our lesson worksheet. So I want everyone to get out their 105-2 lesson worksheet, please. And we're going to be looking for perpendicular lines in our letters. And the reason you don't see all the letters, do you remember when we first started doing this activity? We took out letters that do not have any line segments in them. And so we're just comparing the letters that have, the capital letters that we see that have line segments in them. Now, you'll see we have a Venn diagram down here. So we're going to write what ones have parallel lines, what ones have both parallel and perpendicular lines, and which one have just parallel and perpendicular lines. So I want you to get out 2 crayons. I'm going to do purple and blue. That's what I have that's what I have with me right now. So I'm going to use purple and blue. You can choose any 2 colors you want, but what I want you to do is for parallel lines, I'm going to show those in blue. So I'm going to circle parallel in blue, and I'm going to circle perpendicular in purple. And that way I know what one I am labeling here, and then I'm not going to use that color to write in my letter. So I'm only going to trace those 2 lines with that color so I can see it really well. So let's just start with our letters, and I've got my colors here. So A, I see that we have 3 line segments here. But is this line segment here, does that make a perfect box? It doesn't. And are any of these lines ones that don't intersect? No. So these are neither parallel or perpendicular. So I'm just going to X that out. Okay, A has neither perpendicular or parallel lines in it. It has intersecting lines, but those are not perpendicular or parallel. Okay, so for E, you'll see that we have 3 parallel lines. Let me zoom in here. You guys can see my colors a little bit better. Okay, so I have 3 parallel lines. Make them a little bit darker. Okay, and do I have any perpendicular lines? I do. You'll see, actually, these lines that are parallel also make perpendicular lines with that vertical line here. So E has both parallel and perpendicular lines in it. So I'm going to write E in that middle box. Let's go on to F. Do you see any parallel lines in F? Yeah, we've got our horizontal lines are parallel. What about perpendicular? Once again, we see that those 2 parallel lines make perpendicular perfect corners, perfect 90-degree angles here. So F has both parallel and perpendicular. Okay, excuse me, I am sorry. Okay, let's look at H. Do you see parallel lines? Okay, good. So we have 2 parallel lines. Okay, up and down. Anything that is perpendicular here? Yep, right across. We can see that it is perpendicular. So H has both parallel and perpendicular lines. What about I? What do you think? Parallel? Yep, the top and bottom are parallel to each other. Perpendicular? Yes, they are. They make that perfect 90 degrees. I promise our Venn diagram is not just going to be in the middle. But that's really how it's been looking so far. All right, let's move to K. All right, do we have any parallel lines? No, we do not have any parallel lines here. Do we have any perpendicular lines? Yes, when we look at, and it's this specific K, you'll see that right here, these two lines, oh, let me move my camera zoomed out for you. These two lines make that 90-degree angle. So my 90-degree angle is right here. So those are my perpendicular lines. So we don't have parallel, but we do have perpendicular in our K. Okay, L. Are there any parallel lines in L? There are not. What about perpendicular? Yep, you'll see our only lines in L make that perfect 90-degree angle right here. So L has only perpendicular. What about M? M has parallel. And though these intersect with the parallel, they don't make that 90-degree angle at any point of the intersection. So this one is only parallel. M is only parallel. What about N? N has parallel. Do you see any 90 degrees here? Nope. So N is only parallel. What about T? Do we have any parallel lines in T? Not parallel. What about perpendicular? Yeah. These two lines, and you'll see I've got a right angle on each side of there. So that one is represented by perpendicular lines. What about V? Do you see any parallel lines in there? Not parallel, and I couldn't fit a corner in here, can I? That doesn't match that way. So V does not have parallel or perpendicular lines. What about W? Shaking my screen here. Oh. Okay. W has parallel lines. Remember, this is the one that kind of got us during our lesson. Okay, so these two are parallel to each other, and these two are parallel to each other. And at no intersections do we have a 90 degrees. So W is parallel, but not perpendicular. Okay, now let's look at X. Do you see any parallel lines? What about perpendicular? Now this one I know can be tough because this makes an X up here. Okay, but when we actually write our actual letter, we see that that is not a perfect 90-degree angle. Okay, if I were to make it 90 degrees, it would be, it would look like this. Okay, it would have to have that, and that's not how we write our X's. That this one does make an X, but usually when we're writing it in handwriting, we don't write it with that 90-degree angle. So X has neither parallel or perpendicular lines. What about Y? We come to that same problem, that it's going to be at that same angle. And we know that we do not usually write with that perfect 90-degree angle there. What about Z? Do you see any perpendicular or parallel lines there? I have my parallel lines, the top and the bottom. These do not intersect to make 90 degrees up. So it's parallel but not perpendicular. Okay. I would like us to use the bottom part of our activity sheet. I'm going to tell you a little. I want you to use this as a street. Okay, so I want you to trace the vertical line on the left in purple. Okay, so that would be this one. Ooh, and I'm even making it horizontal to trace that. I'm trying to make it really dark for you guys, okay? So, I want you to trace the left vertical line in purple. And I'm going to name that, I'm not going to be very creative. I'm going to name it P Street for purple. That's P Street. Okay. And I want you to trace the right vertical line in blue. So this would be the vertical line on the right. I want you to trace that in blue. Once again, I'm going to darken that up. And I'm going to name that B Street. Okay. Then I would like you to trace, this is the tricky part, I don't have, oh, I do. I at least have the orange. Okay, I want you to trace the horizontal line in brown. Trace the horizontal line in brown. I don't have a brown, but I am going to use a red or pinkish. Okay, but I want yours to be brown. Okay, and I'm going to name that First Street. And then I want you to trace the oblique line in orange. I'm going to name that O Street. Okay, so now here are our streets that we have. We have First Street, P Street, O Street, and B Street. What two streets are parallel to each other? What two streets are parallel to each other? P Street and B Street. These two are parallel to each other. Name two streets. There's more than one answer here. Name two streets that have a perpendicular intersection. Okay, so those answers, there's two right answers here. You could have said P Street and First Street make a perpendicular intersection, or you could have said B Street and First Street make a perpendicular intersection. What street intersects with every other street on our map? There's one street that has an intersection through every other street on our map. That's O Street. You see here it intersects with P Street. Here it intersects with B Street. And up here it intersects with First Street. So today, I hope that you were able to make many connections to perpendicular and parallel line segments and applying that information in a variety of areas.